Alright guys, hey now. Welcome back to Duct Tape and a Butter Knife. On today's adventures, we'll be patching this hole above my head. If you guys watched my last video, you'll know that I had to install this ceiling fan. The way I did that was to get the electric up through that hole. So today we're going to be patching it. And before we begin, I'd like to ask you if you like my content. I know this is a new channel. I've only got a few videos out. But if you like my videos, please drop a like, consider subscribing, ring the bell, all that good stuff. And enough of that crap. Let's get to fixing this. All right, so what I'm going to be using today is 1 1/4 inch coarse drywall screws. These are a little over 6-inch pieces of 1x3s. And my handy dandy finishing driver thingamabob, whatever the hell this is called. I forget. I think it's called the finish driver, something like that. This thing is awesome. You can comes with 4 different tips that you can put on there for all kinds of good stuff. Comes with them. I usually just use the 1/4 inch drive. Really fine controls. This thing is really good. Anyway, so I got my hole up here. Let me see if you guys can see that. Yeah, you guys can see that. So what I'm going to do is just sink 2 screws on each side. Get them started because this freaking plaster is no joke. And usually you can, you know what, I probably could just get away with doing one on this side, one on this side. But what the hell? I'm just going to put one on each side. Totally unnecessary. Look at that plaster's cracking. More insulation. There's a problem when you work with plaster. It's very finicky. Cracked again. Get rid of those loose pieces. You don't want those loose pieces. If you have drywall, you don't have to worry about that. But you do want to get all these loose pieces out of here. Thinking now that these 1 1/4, yeah, there's plenty. Man, that stuff is just breaking all over. You want to get these loose pieces out of here though, for sure, 100%. I hate plaster. I hate it, I hate it, I hate it. Such a pain in the ass to work with. All right, now you just stick your pieces of wood up there. Make sure you got a good lip hanging over. Press down. Now if you're using drywall, oh, that whole thing is cracked. You don't want to drill this in too deep because you don't want to penetrate the paper. You just want to just have these just barely, so they're just beyond flush. That's all you need. But this is plaster, so it doesn't really matter. Oh, Jesus Christ. Did I tell you guys I hate plaster? I may have mentioned that. It's just such a pain in the ass. You gotta get all these broken pieces out of here. Oh. Again, four pieces is overkill. You don't need 4 pieces. Absolutely don't need all 4 sides. You can get away with just 2. All right. Now let's get our piece screwed up in there. All right. Now you got your piece in there. I'm gonna have to struggle with this because it's plaster. And it sucks. It sucks royally. Just sink these screws just past flush. All right, now I gotta get all these little broken pieces out of here. Don't want them up there, so let me grab my knives. All right, so I'm gonna take your knife and see. As soon as I went across there, I see that that screw's not in far enough. Everything you want smooth. If you're doing plaster, make sure you can get all the loose pieces out. Try not to bend my knife. Just plaster. These are the DeWalt stainless knives. But like every one they had of these, it's really good. All right, so now we got to get some mud on here. This is why you never want to cut close to the wall. You need something for the screws to bite into, and so you can mud and tape. Now, if this is all the way against this crown molding, you wouldn't be able to put tape in there and just wouldn't look as good. because we want to try to feather this so you can't see. Now this is a 75-year-old ceiling. It's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, because these built-ins I handmade. The fireplace was very ugly. It went about a little less than 2/3 the way up the wall. It was really, really ugly. So I refaced the whole thing. I had to frame up to the ceiling, and then I put all the stonework on there, the brickwork, whatever you want to call it, and I handmade these for them. These built-ins. The bottoms are just uppers for a kitchen, and then the top is just all handmade to look sort of modern country. And that's not the word I'm looking for. What's the word I'm looking for? Modern farmhouse. Yeah, that's the look. Modern farmhouse. So that's the look of this living room. So yeah, that was a pain. I still need to, if you look over in the corner, the crown molding, I had to cut that because once I built the whole top part, I built it down on the bottom. I built it on the ground, obviously. And then to slide it up in there, I had to cut about 1 foot of the crown molding out to get it up and in because I made it so tight. So, and in the ceilings, nothing is close to square or plumb or level or anything in this house. Anyway, yeah, get that out of there, get this out of here. You want to try and get all that loose crap out, so this doesn't decide it wants to fall out. All right, so let's get some mud up on there. All right, so this is my little bag that I carry for my knives, and I obviously didn't clean this, so last time I used it, so I'm gonna have to go do that now. So that took about 2 minutes to do. Warm water, it comes right out, easy peasy. So the stuff I use is this general purpose, all purpose. You get in a jug like this for like 12 bucks where I'm at Home Depot. It lasts a while. A lot of people will use like the 5-minute, 10-minute, all that stuff. I just use this. It's already mixed. I don't do a ton of drywalling, but usually want to mix this up a bit because the water will sink to the bottom in it. So if you can mix it up a bit instead of just scooping straight off the top. Try to keep your knife somewhat clean. Stick some in the pan. And now, this might not be necessary, but it's just the way I was taught many, many, many years ago. You just mix this to try to get all the air bubbles out. If there's any air pockets, just mix it a bit. So this is like a 4-inch blade I'm using right now. Now, there's going to be guys out there that are screaming at me because I'm doing this the wrong way, but that's fine. I know enough about mudding to be dangerous. I am by no stretch of the imagination an expert. So what I'm going to do is just try to fill in those gaps with just a light coat. Just smear it in there. Get it pressed all up in them gaps. Fill the screw holes, fill whatever. Really squish it in there. Again, if you're using drywall, chances are you won't have to do this. But since it's plaster, that's what we gotta do. All right, so now I have that squished in there pretty good. I usually use the mesh tape, but of course I can't find it. So I'm just gonna put a little coating on here. I'm gonna have to use the paper tape. Just put a little coat, not a lot. You want a decent amount on there, but not a ton. Make sure you get it on both sides of the line of the crack. All right. It's going to find my line. There's my line. Line comes down to somewhere around here. So you want that mud underneath of it so that this paper has something to stick to. Which I didn't come out far enough over here. So you want that paper to stick to it. You smooth it down. I usually like a nice straight edge. You want to try not to overlap this paper if you can. See the other line somewhere around here. You want to push this down pretty firm. So you squeeze out all the excess mud underneath. You just want to use that mud as like a glue for the tape. Again, I know there's going to be some guys out there that are much better at mudding and taping than I am, screaming that I'm doing this wrong. Well, that's okay. This is not my main profession. All right. So now you got that up there nice and firm. I'm gonna go over it again. See, there's still air in there. I didn't mix that enough in the pan. All right, let me grab a bigger knife. All right, so I'm gonna grab a big knife and I'm gonna push. I don't think you guys can see this, but you wanna sort of push so that the outside edge is more pressure than the inside. Pull it across so you can feather that. Go back the other way. Get those edges feathered. And then I just go flat across it. I'm just trying to get that as smooth as you can for the first coat. You don't want a ton on there. It's just more work you got to do later. Tape's bubbling right there. You know why? Because that's where that big hole is. So it's pushing down from the weight of the mud in those cracks. So it's just more work I'll have to do later. I'll have to sand that down. But for the most part, that's pretty good for first coat. You don't want a ton up there, you just want enough to cover everything. It dries much faster. When that dries, go over it just really fast with a piece of sandpaper. You can even use a really damp sponge, a slightly damp sponge. So basically what you want to do, if you use a damp sponge, you won't have any mess anywhere. If you get this really good back there, so it's, you know, not a lot of thick mud up there, when it dries, if you take a sponge, stick it under the water for just a second and just squish it out so it's just a bit damp. Then when you go up there, you can just rub across it and it'll smooth out any lines, imperfections, anything like that. If you got it good enough on the first try, you're done. Wait for it to dry, throw some paint on it, good to go. With this one, since the tape is bubbling a bit, which if I had to mesh, it wouldn't be doing that. So, but the tape is bubbling a little bit because I have mud filled into those spots where the plaster broke. So now I gotta wait for that to dry, and I'm gonna have to kind of sand down those spots. We'll see how it looks. This stuff does shrink a good amount. If you use like the quick set stuff, like the 10-minute mud, the 15, 20-minute, whatever it is, the stuff you have to mix, it comes powder form. You just add a bit of water to it. It dries really fast. This is not that. This is put it up there, walk away, do something else for a couple of hours, come back and do it again. Whereas the other stuff like the pros are using that they want to get in and patch and, you know, get out, get money and leave. They're using the stuff that sets real quick so they can just finish it up and get out, get paid. This, not too worried about it. I just wanted to get that first coat on up there. So I think it looks pretty good for the first go. So I'll let that set up, and then I mean, this one over there is still not painted. This one over here is still not painted. This one needs a little bit of work on the corner. I don't know if my fingers even point to that, but there's a little bump there that needs to get sorted out, and it did shrink a little bit over here. So still need to touch that one up a little bit. This one looks pretty good, blended in pretty good. And yeah, once this one's done, you'll never know it was there. So hopefully that helped you guys out. If it did, make sure you smash that like button, hit the subscribe, ring the bell. I'll be putting more videos out. This is a brand new channel. I only have like 6 videos out at this point. Make sure you check those out, and I'll see you guys on the next one.